Imagine it's 1958. Elvis is still under 200 pounds. The bridge on the River Kwai is topping box offices, and America is both obsessed with the future and terrified of it. Sputnik's beeping over our heads. The Cold War is heating up, but here in Los Angeles, the vibe is still pure neon optimism. And on the streets of this sprawling, sun-drenched city, there's a new car gleaming with promise and chrome. The 1958 Ford Edsel Ranger. Welcome to Googie Nights, a retro road trip through 1950s Los Angeles in one of the most misunderstood and unforgettable cars ever made. The Edsel was supposed to be Ford's crown jewel, a bold new brand filled with more you ideas. But instead of a space-age savior, it became the poster child for corporate failure. It was hyped like a flying saucer, built like a land yacht, and remembered more for its unfortunate grille than its innovations. But here's the thing. The Edsel is far more than just a punchline. It's a time capsule, a rolling monument to an America that dreamed in chrome and fiberglass. And there's no better place to drive one than through the heart of the mid-century modern dreamland, Los Angeles. This is a city where Googie architecture, named after a wild star-tipped coffee shop, turned gas stations into rocket ships and diners into spaceships. You didn't just stop for coffee, you landed at a neon-lit command post. LA in the 50s was Walt Disney's Tomorrowland come to life, with buildings shaped like record stacks, hot dog stands the size of hot dogs, and drive-ins that looked like launch pads. In this video, we're renting a real deal 1958 Edsel Ranger and hitting the most iconic and eccentric landmarks of atomic age Los Angeles. From the legendary Tail O the Pup and the Formosa Cafe to the record-stacked Capitol Records building, we're chasing the last glowing embers of Googie glamour. So, buckle in, fire up that 361 cubic inch V8, and let's take a drive through. A world where architecture pointed to the stars, celebrities haunted roadside diners, and America's car culture hit full throttle. Elvis still weighted under 200 pounds. The bridge on the River Kwai was on its way to becoming the year's top-grossing film without a single Major Warden or Colonel Nicholson Happy Meal action figurine having been sold. Running around naked in the backyard carried a new risk Sputnik. Might be peaking. And the Ford Motor Company, apparently jealous of all the press the Hindenburg had received, was finally selling its all-new Edsel, a car that for 2 years it had hyped so breathlessly. More you ideas. The public no doubt expected a flying carpet that ran on plutonium. No American city in 1958 was a more fitting backdrop for a gleaming new example of four-wheeled fabulous Orama technology than Los Angeles. The goofy Tomorrowland optimism of Walt Disney's nearby theme park had spilled right over the monorail and onto the sprawling auto-worshipping streets of LA itself. Want a quick breakfast? Just drive to the store shaped like a giant donut. Hoping to start your singing career? Head to the office building resembling a stack of records. Wife needs a new bra? Better find something that looks like a big Bloomingdale's. The rocket-age city of angels was having a blast, and no savvy business owner could resist taking a big living color bite of kitsch. Drive-through car washes looked like flying saucers. Gas stations became space stations. The average roadside motel blazed with more tiki torches than the entire island of Tahiti. Even coffee shops caught the fever. Soon after, pioneering architect John Lautner designed a flamboyant glass-walled neon-splashed diner called Googie's, its roof angling toward the stars from the pop culture epicenter of LA on the Sunset Strip. Seemingly every budget eatery in town and across America was launching meteors from its signs and slapping rocket fins onto its deep fryers. Googie architecture was born. Very soon, of course, the whiz-bang Edsel went the way of, well, the Edsel. Gushed an ad in 1958. The Edsel look is here to stay, which was true only if you counted very, very slowly, just 1 year after. The car's debut, Ford revised the dramatic horse collar grille, largely because most people thought it looked like, well, if you want us to say what it resembles out loud, you'll have to pick up a copy of Motor Trend Hefner. By 1960, Ford had shrunk the pseudo-collar thing into oblivion. Then just 3 years after its Geraldo Rivera grade entrance, the Edsel itself disappeared. Within the next decade, Googie followed. The Kennedy assassinations, Vietnam, Susan. Sontag Novels America wasn't in such a good mood anymore. Across the country, the meteors cratered, the tiki torches flamed out. Undoubtedly, due to its iconic status, the original Googie's coffee shop managed to survive until 1989 when it was finally bulldozed to make room for a very important Virgin megastore. By then, though, the Googie life was long dead. Of course, nobody loves a great second act more than Hollywood. For the fan of 50s culture, Los Angeles is one of the country's prime public time machines, thanks to the work of vocal preservationists and the fact that LA remains a leading purveyor of quirkiness. Devotees can still find plenty of mid-century lore here. Famous 1950s landmarks, period houses, kitsch classics, globules of Googie. We dusted off a 1958 two-door Ford Edsel Ranger from the Motor Trend Vehicle Humidor. Okay. We rented it from a company that supplies cars to movie studios and hit the streets in search of that heady, spacey land that restraint forgot. Kids didn't walk to school in the 1950s because America was a safer place. They walked because damned if mom was gonna wrestle with 2 tons of atomic age steel lacking both power brakes and power steering any more than was absolutely necessary. Our Edsel has neither. They were options on the entry-level Ranger. So performing 3-point turns amid the palm trees of Beverly Hills is like trying to drag a 5-year-old out of a showing of Madagascar. After a workout like this, you need a hot dog. That's right, just look for the gigantic tube steak. Tail O the Pup is to LA what the Eiffel Tower is to Paris, and not just because both are full of weenies. Built just after World War II, the Pup is quintessential kitsch and a true Los Angeles landmark, which accounts for its presence in countless movies, among them LA Story and Body Double. Orson Welles loved to fill up on the Pup's dogs, yet that hasn't scared the customers away. Order a baseball special, mustard, relish, onions, then get back in line and order another. In our first Edsel Ranger road test in October 1957, we measured a 0 to 60 to me of time of 10.2 seconds. That feels about right. A modern V6 Camry would blow. The 361 cubic inch V8 Edsel into the weeds. The old girl boats smartly away from stoplights though, thanks in part to 400 pound-feet of torque. Our Ranger also has the optional TeleTouch automatic transmission, which allows the selection of drive, reverse, etc. via push buttons on the steering wheel hub. Very George Jetson, especially considering that it was nearly half a century before Michael Schumacher finally got rid of his shift lever. Another Edsel innovation is its horizontal rolling dome speedometer, which looks like a giant compass. Come right to a heading of 45 miles per hour, Arthur. Believe it or not, there's actually some debate as to whether the Capitol Records building was intentionally designed to look like a stack of records. Why, sure. And it's pure coincidence that a guy looking very much like Abraham Lincoln ended up inside the Lincoln Memorial. Anyway, Capitol's 13-story headquarters, built in 1954 and just north of the famed intersection of Hollywood and Vine, lays claim to being the world's first circular office building. Don't be surprised if the company's next HQ accidentally gets shaped like an iPod. She looks just like Lana Turner. She is Lana Turner. What? She is Lana Turner. In 1997, director Curtis Hanson shot one of the most memorable scenes of his brilliant 1950s film, noir homage LA Confidential, in the Formosa Cafe. Built in 1925, by the 1950s, the Formosa had become an A-list celebrity hangout, as the countless star headshots on the walls attest. The real Lana Turner and her gangster boyfriend Johnny Stompanato were indeed Formosa regulars, at least until the star's teenage daughter had a hissy fit and stabbed Stompanato to death at their home in 1958. Drop into the Formosa for a drink today, and there's a good chance you'll spot a modern-day celeb, no surprise, given that right across the street is the former Goldwyn Studio, now known as The Lot, filming site for such 1950s classics as Some Like It Hot and West Side Story. You're hungry again. Barney's Beanery, a funky, memorabilia-filled bar and billiard parlor with a menu as thick as a newspaper, has been in its current location since 1927, when John Barney Anthony served beans to drivers passing via Old Route 66. Many of them, arriving in California to start new lives, nailed their old license plates to the wall, where they remain today. By the 50s, Barney's had become a beatnik hangout, Among them were James Dean and a still unknown Janis Joplin. Some of the patrons at the bar look like they've been there since then too. Though it wasn't built until 1965, Jack Coker's Union 76 station in Beverly Hills is one of SoCal's finest existing examples of 1950s-style space-age architecture. The Edsel seems to belong under the station's sweeping canopy roof, at least until that price sign comes into view. $3.11 for a gallon of premium? Surely an extra digit got tacked on there by mistake. What, no free roadmap? Don't you know what time-space continuum we're from? It's been a long day of sightseeing and dodging annoying sightseers. The old Edsel has been a peach though, always starting right up. Complex electro shift transmission, working fine, never overheating when idling in the sun. But hey, the Edsel sure does look swell pulling up under the winking neon of Norm's coffee shop on La Cienega. Designed in 1957 by John Lautner contemporaries Louis Armé and Eldon Davis, Norm's is a bona fide Googie masterpiece. Soaring jet wing roof, aquarium-like walls of glass, enough combined candle power to illuminate the Super Bowl. The hipsters. Come here now for late night coffee and pancakes. After bar food, they call it. In the 1950s, it would have been hangover-o-matic. What really killed Edsel? Forget the styling, the Eisenhower recession, the poor initial quality, and the untried dealer network. Edsel was dead before the first car was even sold. Edsel was key to an ambitious Ford plan to tackle GM's Buick, Oldsmobile, and Pontiac. The idea was to build 3 basic bodies, small, medium, and large, and spread the costs across 5 divisions: Ford, Edsel, Mercury, Lincoln, and Continental. The Fords and entry-level Edsels would share the small body. The upscale Edsels and standard Mercurys would share the medium body. And a new Super Mercury would be built off the next generation Lincoln body. The wheels began to fall off in 1956 when Chief Engineer Earl McPherson ordered the 1958 Lincoln be switched to a unibody design to boost volume at the Wixom plant. Built to manufacture the unibody 1958 Thunderbird, effectively killing the Super Mercury. Then, the day after the Edsel went on sale in 1957, Ford Division Chief Robert McNamara, who resented the power of the product planners responsible for the Edsel, was made a group vice president. Sources insist that McNamara had let slip that the Edsel would be discontinued, and sure enough, he began hacking away at the slow-selling Edsel's budget. Within months, he had reduced his future product plans to a different grille for 1960 Fords. In his book, A Disaster in Dearborn, O. Thomas E. Bonsall blames the Edsel's demise on the Byzantine politics played by warring management factions. If Ford Motor Company management wasn't willing to invest several years of effort in the Edsel, they didn't deserve to succeed. After a full day on the glittering, nostalgic streets of Los Angeles, the 1958 Edsel Ranger hasn't just taken us from place to place, it's taken us back in time. It's helped us rediscover a chapter of American optimism when cars weren't just transportation, they were statements, symbols of prosperity, power, and possibility. And what a ride it's been. We started in the land of giant hot dogs and record-shaped buildings, where kitsch was king and neon ruled the night. We rode through Beverly Hills, cruised Sunset Boulevard, and stopped at some of the most iconic mid-century landmarks that still survive. Barely. These aren't just tourist spots, they're living artifacts, holding on to the last echoes of a space-age dream. The Edsel itself? It held up beautifully. No power steering, no power brakes, but a whole lot of personality. That quirky teletouch transmission, the rolling dome speedometer, and the dramatic curves and chrome. It's easy to see why it turned heads, even if it flopped on the sales floor. But here's the truth. The Edsel didn't fail because it was ugly or underpowered. It failed because of corporate infighting, bad timing, and a lack of long-term vision. It was a car meant for a future that never quite arrived. And that makes it even more fascinating today. In many ways, Googie culture and the Edsel share the same story. Both were born of post-war American confidence. Both shot for the stars. And both were abandoned when the mood changed. But if you ask us, there's something magical in that failure. Something real. Something worth revisiting. So if you've enjoyed this ride through America's chrome-plated past, give this video a thumbs up, Drop a comment about your favorite retro landmark, and don't forget to subscribe for more vintage road trips, automotive history, and time warp travels. We're just getting started because the road may move forward, but sometimes the best way to understand where we're going is to cruise back into where we've been.